Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Masters of the Universe Origins Man-E-Faces toy. Man-E-Faces is a character with an absolutely ridiculous name, and he's also part of the second wave of Origins toys, and as such has been one I've, had to really go out of my way to track down. And sadly, paid a fair bit more than retail for him, but, I wanted to get caught up finally and be at a point where I'm just getting the waves as they come in rather than having to, hunt around for them and pay a little extra. So just went and got it done. Man-E-Faces, he's a very interesting figure. His whole torso and head section is unique to him. And it's built to play up to his feature, right? He's called Man-E-Faces, as in many faces, because he can swap his face around. He's supposed to be an attorney and actor, so he can kind of take on different forms and act them out. So he's a very odd but very interesting character. Anyway, if you've seen my reviews before, you know this goes. We're going to take a look at Man-E-Faces packaging. Then we're going to open it up. We'll take a quick look at his comic that comes inside. And then we'll see Man-E-Faces himself. Check out his action features, his posability. He does come with, I think, at least one accessory. I think it's a laser pistol or something. I'll try to do at least some group shots and comparisons today, though him being so unique, there's not too much to compare him to. And then, of course, at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So Man-E-Faces comes in your standard MOTU Origins packaging. You got the logo, you got his name. His title underneath is Heroic Human ... Robot ... Monster, because those are the three faces that he can take on. They have a little call out here. It says turn head for 3 different faces. So pretty cool. There's a little laser rifle thing there. He's one of very few characters that actually has any sort of firearm. They're very rare. They tend to use more like medieval style weapons. All right, up here you get your artwork showing him performing some kind of play for the attorney in court, right? You get the king and queen here, along with Adam watching on. You can see Tila and Orko watching from the back. And I don't know, he's doing something, professing something, and then he kind of leaps forward, or I think he's actually teleporting. But he leaps forward, and then he takes on this monstrous form, and then for some reason, apparently Skeletor is there in the foreground. I don't know, I guess he was acting and then spotted Skeletor and went to fight him. I don't know. Kind of weird that Skeletor just kind of shows up with his sword in the middle of the play. Here we can see his action features. It says, turn he's human, turn he's a robot, turn he's a monster. So there's just that little purple knob on top of his head, and that's how you turn his faces around. And of course, on the right, we get our cross cells. You get your He-Man and Skeletor as usual. And they're really not going to give that up, are they? Like, we're going on, the 6th wave now, and they're still just doing He-Man and Skeletor for every cross cell. It's kind of boring. If anything, they should cross sell some of the deluxe figures for these waves, but oh well. You can see Man-E-Faces himself, Orko, who will be arriving eventually whenever it arrives from across the pond there. And you get Trapjaw, who I just reviewed previously to this, and then Scareglow. So I like the artwork. It's very colorful. It's very well drawn, lots of detail. The figure himself, he's weird. What weird is something that's just kind of synonymous with this franchise, so I don't mind it too much. So now let's go ahead and open it up and play around and see what Man-E-Faces is made of. Okay, and here's the mini comic that comes with Man-E-Faces. It's Double Trouble, just like his wave mates. So, you get Orko getting copied by Skeletor, tries to attack He-Man, and he gets stopped because, He-Man's a good guy. And also Man-E-Faces pretends to be He-Man to lure fake Orko into a trap, so it works because he's like a master of disguise, master of shape-shifting. And there you go. Day is saved yet again. And then here, again, we just get our cross cells for Wave 2. Now here's Man-E-Faces himself. Very strange looking character in my opinion. In fact, I think he's one of the oddest looking characters in all of Masters of the Universe. Which is funny because he's like a fully human character, like he's just a guy wearing like high-tech looking armor and has the ability to like magically change his face. But he's just so odd looking. He kind of reminds me of is it the Centaurians, right? From Doctor Who? Those are like the egg head looking dudes. I think it's Centaurians. Maybe? He reminds me of those. Or kind of reminds me of Humpty Dumpty too. He's really weird looking. One thing that's really cool about him that I didn't realize till I got him out of the package is his head actually does turn. And like it doesn't interfere with his little face swapping gimmick either. He has a full rotation on his head, which is neat because I thought it was just one solid piece. So I'm really glad he can actually look around. It's really cool. His body has all the same articulation you'd expect from a standard MOTU figure. Got all the universal joints in the shoulders, the bicep hinge, the swivel, fully articulated wrist. You can see he comes with this little futuristic laser blaster type weapon here. Full waist rotation. And the legs do their thing, just like all the other MOTU figures. So he's a really, really cool guy. And here, his little gimmick, you just take this knob on the top of his head, and you push down a little bit, and then you just simply turn it. So here we get his robot face, which is what you saw in the packaging. Very cool looking. And then you get his monster face, which is really creepy. I mean, that is absolutely monstrous looking. Fits the description well. And then we just get his standard face again. So he is just a really, really neat guy, even if he is very odd looking in my opinion. Now, like his mold mate Trapjaw, this guy has a lot of new parts and some that, stay original to this character. So his arms are all new. They haven't been done before up to this point. And they look kind of robotic, but I think they're just supposed to be armored. So he's got, ridges on his hands and everything. The chest is obviously all new, and it looks kind of like your standard, like, muscle-bound chest, but it's got these, tube-type details molded in, and then, kind of got a metal pack here, and it all culminates in this big raised collar that helps support his rather egg-shaped helmet here. So that's all different. And then he's one of the very few characters, at least, the humanoid ones, that has a different pelvic area. It's not just your standard belt with loincloth. It's more metallic looking, more mechanized. And then his legs are also mechanized, but these are like the only part of him that isn't actually new. These are the same legs that came with Trapjaw. So, I mean, I guess you can call them new depending on, who you consider, was released first. But I think in the original line, Trapjaw came first, right? So I'm going to say he is falling over. But also based off of Trapjaw's legs rather than the other way around. But, of course, it's really just semantics. And here we can see Trapjaw, just so you can see how they differ and how they're the same. And like I said, the legs, all the same thing. Like from the hip socket down. All the same, just painted differently. And then everything else between these guys, all different parts. So that's good, right? You don't see a lot of uniqueness amongst the Masters of the Universe line. There's a heavy parts reuse in this line, which in my opinion is part of the charm. There is kind of a simplistic charm to it. But at the same time, every once in a while, it's good to get some more variety in the character designs and the parts used. So I really like this. And we're only the second wave in right now, so that's pretty good seeing, this much in the way of new pieces when there's still many waves after this to go. Now, that may actually set up some false expectations because you're going to see a lot less in the way of unique body parts as things go on. So in a way, they might actually be setting up for disappointment in that regard, but I still think they're really great either way. And due to their very interesting designs and heavy, original parts use, they are two of the most unique characters in the entire lineup. And this completes our look at MOTU Origins Man-E-Faces. Overall, I'm a big fan of this toy, even though his appearance might be a little off-putting at first because he is a very odd-looking character. He makes up for that with having a really fun play feature that's not intrusive, right? He still has head articulation, which is really great. I mean, you could argue, well, it's not ball jointed, it can only swivel, which is true. He can't really look up or down, but I'd say it's a fair trade-off, right? He still gets a full 360 rotation on the head while still being able to easily swap between three very different faces. So you get a lot of play value out of this toy. And again, very heavy on the original parts usage, which is always very cool. Really kind of adds to the value of the figure because they had to put a lot of work into him compared to just, slapping new colors on another He-Man body. So overall, I'm very pleased with the way this guy came out. Not pleased with how much I had to pay to get him because, like Trapjaw and Orko, he's very hard to find right now. Scareglow is very easy to get a hold of. Those three cost me a lot more on the secondary market, so that's unfortunate, but I think it was worth it. I mean, he wasn't too much. I didn't pay like $100 for this guy or anything. He was like, I don't know, 30, 40-ish. So I'm pleased with it, and I enjoyed him a lot. Of course, that is just my opinion on this guy, so now I want to know what you all think in the comments section. Do you like Man-E-Face's character design? Do you think it's really cool, or do you think it's too goofy looking? Do you not like the action feature, or anything else about the toy? Any and all feedback's always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at Masters of the Universe Origins Wave 2 Man-E Faces. And with all that said, I will see you next time.